again, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Monarch Live 73, Oakland, California. I'm Hayden Williams III. I'll be your host for tonight. Glad to see everybody out here. While we get started, first thing I want to do is congratulate Worshipful Master Bruce Watson on becoming Worshipful Master this last first year. It's been an incredible start thus far, and he's going well. Also, our past masters that we have here, past Master Buckel and past Master Kirkendall, past Master Patton. We had a lot of good brothers here, and past Master Rufus Johnson. Thank you. And also our Sisters of Regina chapter. Thank you for your support. We've always had mothers and wives and we knuckleheads, but you keep us in line. We appreciate all that. All right, so the theme for tonight is Black Lives Matter. A topic that should be something dear to everybody in this life, regardless of whatever your race may be. It's important that you understand that Black Lives Matter. It's a topic that goes well beyond the headlines, hashtags, and social media, and what they say. It's a topic that strikes at the very core of our lives, core of our community. And it's in the best interest of not only ourselves, but for the well-being of the entire race, the country, the world. That they understand that Black Lives Matter, because they know we can get out of hand, when they disrespect us. So, I have a profound interest in biology. Some of you might know that I'm studying to become a doctor. And I love politics and someone who follows the news very regularly. So I've always felt that politics and biology share similarities, meaning you can explain the timeline of a race, their social discourses, if viewed analogous to the hard sciences such as biology. And I feel that our people have been stricken with a plague that has encountered stiff resistance, but has successfully mutated into a stronger strain with intentions to continue the dynamic effects of the disease that controls the minds and bodies of our youth. If we plan to defeat the disease, we first have to understand exactly what that disease is. So when you think of a plague, what do you think of? You think of a disease. You think of suffering. You think of weakness. You think of a virus. So in biology, a virus is not an organism. And the reason it's not an organism because that organisms or eukaryotes, which are humans or multicellular organisms, they have what you call a nuclear envelope that surrounds its DNA, its chromosomes. And it also has different organelles that allows it to actually carry out certain functions to be able to actually generate ATP or adenyl triphosphate or energy. It's just all fancy terms that probably no one really cares for. But it doesn't have a nucleus around its DNA, which is the blueprint of existence. All it's comprised of is really the viral DNA, or really just the disease that actually causes destruction. So it works fairly simple. What a virus does is it enters into a cell, and then it tells that cell or the nucleus to actually replicate copies of its viral DNA. And all cells, they go through something called mitosis or meiosis, which is cell division. So throughout this cell division, once those viral DNAs are replicated, the cell division goes out and it takes out pretty much everything that's going on. So you got viral DNA that's multiplying millions of times within your body until it becomes a disease. And once it becomes a disease, well, you succumb to that disease. I'm sure everybody here had a virus at some point. It's not a very pleasant feeling, I assure you. So in 1619, Jamestown, South Carolina, the first slaves arrived on the shores of North America. But now that I think about that, let me correct myself. The first kidnapped people from the continent of Africa arrived on the shores of South Carolina. Because see, slaves, they're not born. Slaves are made. You're made to be in bondage. You're not born that way. So this event, it really stands for the first documented exposure that we've had to this virus. that we inherited once we came over to this country. Of people that's being in bondage mentally and physically for over 400 years. However, there is an important characteristic of a virus when you think about it. A virus cannot replicate on its own. The reason that a virus actually, it needs a different cell is because that a virus is not an organism. It doesn't have ways of replicating itself. It needs you to be able to replicate for it. So if a virus cannot replicate itself because it's missing key functions, in other words, our former oppressors who actually put this virus on us in the first place, they can no longer control that. They're no longer coming to us and making us do these bad things. They're not using the Christianity that they used in the beginning to tell us that we are the chosen ones to actually bear this burden of being slaves. They can't come over and tell us that they're not beating us and what's so not. They don't control it. They've already put into our minds that, well, you're inferior, we're not going to give you this, bad education opportunities. You know, they're not allowing us to get higher places in work or what's so not. So the virus DNA has already been injected in us through slavery. It lies dormant in our minds, but we are responsible for actually replicating it, just as a virus. So what I'm saying is, the mentality that they put into us as slaves that's generated through the cell division or, you know, in real life over generations of being scared and oppressed and going through all these changes. Now we're actually the ones who's causing this. We're replicating the virus on our own. It's no longer, we can't no longer say like, oh, these white guys is hurting us or they got us in chains. We're the ones who's actually doing it to ourselves. We have to carry out their task for them. They want to make us believe that black lives don't matter. However, if you go out to the Hamptons or Black Hawk or any of these other rich neighborhoods and you go talk to some of their CEOs, go talk to some of these guys that's making major bank, I assure you they'll tell you that black lives extremely matter. Matter of fact, we have the #1 buying power in this country. So financially we matter, but as humans we don't. Our people has fought and clawed and scratched and kicked for 400 years to be thought of as equals, non-inferiors. They would have us believe. Powerful leaders immune to this virus, such as Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, President Barack Obama, some of the brothers that's in Monarch Law 73 as well, who refuse to be affected by this virus. However, just like any other virus that you're trying to get over, it takes your entire body to actually overcome it. One person can't do it. We need our whole race. We need our nation. We need the world. We need ourselves to be able to overcome this virus. So now that we understand it's a virus, it only makes sense that we ask, how do you defeat a virus? Well, biologically, we defeat viruses by using a vaccine. So what is a vaccine? Now, I mentioned earlier that a protein coat, or we call it a capsid, surrounds the virus. And that protein coat is actually what that virus uses to actually go inside the plasma membranes and cells. This is on a whole different level. All right. To make a vaccine, you have to take the protein that surrounds the virus and inject it into the immune system. Meaning that you're not going to actually take the chromosomes from the virus, but you take the means that it uses to actually spread that virus, which is the capsid of the protein that's around it. This triggers a response from the immune system that now that they know that this protein is here, so we must be alert. We're going to make antibiotics. We're going to make things that's going to be able to be prepared to take upon the virus if it enters the body. Not only that, it lingers on for longer. It's that way that you're a little bit more prepared in case that virus comes back along. So a lot of people actually have like flu shots, especially if you're a healthcare worker. And it's kind of like a stigma. It's like, I always get sick after I take that shot. Well, that's why, because they're actually taking some of the proteins that make that virus okay and put it in your body, even though you're not exactly getting sick, but it's making your immune system more aware. So when I look at and I think about what's the protein of the virus that's affecting our people, what's the means that they're actually using to spread their deadly disease, I think of the media. I think of the police brutality. I think about shows that paints us in a bad light. I think about instead of putting our education first, they're telling us put Gucci first. You know, put that $100,000 car first. You know, be a baller or whatsoever. They're not putting wisdom in, things that actually makes you better in life, that carries you out throughout life. So, what we need is, we need our professionals, we need our talented people, our musicians, the people in this room. We need you to be that vaccine. Because each one of us, we're involved in these same means that they use against us. We use them ourselves in our professions, our daily lives. So when we're there, we have to make an example for people to follow. If they're able to replicate their viral DNA, why can't we replicate our good DNA to the rest of the country, to the rest of the world, at least to our community? And other brothers will take that upon. Right now, as it stands, the misguided, talented musicians with label execs are instructing them to make the most ignorant, disrespectful music to be imitated by our youth, effectively replicating their disease. Monarch Live 73 has and continues to be a leader in developing that vaccine. Brothers like Past Master Baker, who works with the Pythagorean Knights, which is youth that meets up at Frick Middle School, and he teaches them the finer points of being young men and how to govern themselves accordingly while they're out in the public. Past Master Taylor, who's been a vice principal over at Frick Middle School for as long as I've been a Mason, and he's looked at as almost a father to a lot of these young children. You know, brothers like District Deputy Michael Essien, he's not here today, but he spends a lot of his personal time going around speaking to young brothers and to the youth and teaching in schools. And a lot of the brothers that's in this lodge, that they do a lot of things for the youth I might not even know of. That's what makes Monarch Live 73 so special, and the people that's here so special. And that's what we're going to continue doing. And that's why I'm so proud to actually be a member of Monarch Live 73. So I would like to challenge every person in this room, and I promise you that this is going to be my last reference to biology. You might feel like that y'all in class, but now there's a domain called fungus. You probably look at me like I'm fungus. Okay, the domain fungus is a certain type of organism that lives with plants. You know, sometimes like plants are like poison ivy or whatsoever. That's because of funguses. They actually protect the plant. They don't want people to eat it or whatsoever. But in plants, funguses live in harmony with plants' lives through different methods. One method is mutualistic, meaning that fungus gives chemical compounds to the plant, and in return, the plant gives the fungus sugars. Then there's communalism. In communalism, the fungus actually takes all the sugar away from the plant, but the plant doesn't give anything back. It doesn't give anything back to the plant. So therefore, it's just a freeloader. It's just sitting there soaking up sugar as much as it can. It doesn't really hurt the plant, but it's there. And then there's the worst kind, the parasitic. Parasitic funguses, they actually take away from the plant, and they kill the plant on its way out. So I'm asking you as people, look inside yourself and think, what type of person are you? What kind of fungus are you going to be today? Are you going to be mutualistic? Do you give as much as you can to your people and your race, as much as your people give to you? Are you communalism? Are you just giving to you're taking away from your race, but you're not giving anything back? You're just there. You're really not a factor. Or are you parasitic? Are you taking everything you can from your race and you harm it on its way out. I think we're very sure exactly what Monarch Live stands for over here. We're going to give back as much as we get at all times. And then, so we can, as a valid method of showing that, you know, I'm an experimental type of guy. We got a video here we're going to show tonight that's going to show the brothers how we dwell together in unity. And some of the vaccine work that we've been doing here in Monarch Lodge and along with all the districts in Northern California. Thank you very much.